All right. So I'm really excited today because we try to give you guys what you want and not what I think you need or what I want to nerd out on. Today is one of the very few days we're going to do what I want to nerd out on. And we are talking accounting. Guys, gals, I hear all the time, my accountant handles that, to a basic question like, what was your revenue? What was your cost of goods sold? How much was your profit? And even on the profit, it's like, well, 26%. And I know when someone gives me a percent, they don't know their profit. What they're really saying is, in some fairy tale world that I've constructed in my mind, this is what it should be based on all my data. And like, how much money did you actually take from the company and give yourself? And like, well, and then it gets to be a whole different kettle of fish. So I know two things. One, people think accounting is this mystical thing that, owners can't. I'm bad at numbers. I don't understand it. I don't like it. None of that's true, guys, gals. You need to be able to add, subtract. If you want to get fancy, multiply and divide. That's it. There's no logarithms. There's no solve for X. There's no calculus. There's no Pythagorean's theorem. It's literally adding some. It's very, very simple and basic. So I want to take a time and jump in. The one big foundational thing I want to give you guys is it is almost universal. Like 90% of the people I talk to, and I talk to all owners of cleaning companies all day, every day. The two big ones are, one, it's I don't know. Someone else handles it. I don't know. And then two, hyper focus on revenue and almost forgetting about profit. Like I'll literally have guys like, I don't, because they'll go, I make 26%. I'm like, great. How much money did you take out of the account? Well, none, because I'm putting it all back in my company. I'm like, that's called a god dang expense, right? So for all of our clients, the foundation that we lay is a 30% gosh darn profit. And that's super important for a lot of reasons. One, if you're not making any money, no offense, you could sit on your butt for like, what are we doing here, right? Or I guess you could file for non-for-profit, which I can't help you with. But I'm going to assume most of you want to make money. Second, you want to set your business up so you have real profit. A lot of times people are doing the cleaning, and when they hire, the way they've priced their jobs or the way their numbers are set up, there's no money to pay someone else and pay your overhead. And this other thing, people, I'm sorry, I'm getting real ranty. People, there's like 17 things I want to talk about, and I don't have them in order. I promise we're going to get to questions. Especially on the smaller companies, they don't think they have any overhead. And on larger companies, they don't track their overhead and they grossly underestimate it. So gosh, there's just so much. First, all right. Rant begin. First and foremost, get an accounting software like QuickBooks and have real accounting. Not, well, I bill everyone through Jobber and I put my expenses over here and I've got a spreadsheet. And it's like, I think we do that just because we're afraid of QuickBooks. Find a nice person who knows. If you're with us, we will teach you, we'll show you, we'll have someone hold your goddamn hand. If not, just go on Upwork or Fiverr or I promise there's someone for $50 an hour will walk you through QuickBooks. It's not a big deal. So use actual accounting software and don't settle for like what you think happens. And then you're like, how come I'm always broke or I can't make payroll? Like actually put your revenue in QuickBooks. And, I don't care if House Call Pro or Jobber or whatever software you've got does invoicing. Lots of things do. My cell phone, if I hit a nail into a wall with it, could be a hammer. Or I could just use a goddamn hammer, probably do a little better, right? So yeah, I understand you can bill people through Jobber. That does not make Jobber an accounting software. So have real accounting software with real data so you know what your real expenses are and you actually put them in off of your bank account. You only spend the money from your bank account, not from just basic big boy, big girl stuff. And if it's overwhelming, get some help, right? Whether it's us or somebody else, get some help. And again, if you're doing 5-10 grand a month and you're going to stay at 5-10 grand a month, you can ignore all of this. But if your goal is to build $1 million company, people are like, oh, once I have $1 million company, then I'll get accounting. It's like, no, once you get accounting, you can build $1 million company. All right. I haven't got it all out of my system, but I'm going to lose 92% of the audience and the rest will just be here for hate mail. So we'll hit some questions before things go off. Oh, by the way, Lindsay's here. I don't think she got a word in edgewise.
I swear I'm here for those on audio only. I'm here. I'm back from vacation. I'm refreshed. I'm ready to go.
I think her eyes are big. She's like, I did not sign up for this today.
I was like, I have a good idea. Let's see what happens. Woo!
Yeah, I wonder if Mike has any thoughts on accounting. Apparently he does.
I had a feeling. So let's go into the questions. Shout out to Grace. She is one of our frequent emailers. and love her because she always asks the best questions, and she inspired this podcast. So thank you, Grace.
Nicely done, Grace.
Yeah,
Note after my own heart.
Yeah. She had two questions. So we're going to start with the first one. They're both excellent questions. So she said, number one, how do you know your accountant is good and knows what to do?
All right. I'm almost positive this is actually Lindsay's question. And she just put Grace's name on it. She's like, what can I do to piss Mike off and get him to really lose his goddamn mind on air? So it's on, people. All right, I'm going to give a tiny rant and then I'll do my best to help. For years, we would have people just have their own accountant. Like, we'll get your accountant, have the books, because we work with people, we need to see their profit and loss statement. We need their books. And by golly, it feels like 92% of other people's accounts were just garbage. So we finally hired our own, not because, I guess we are nice, but 90% of it was, I just am sick of fighting with other people's crap accountants on how to really do books. Okay. So I'm going to get a little technical, a lot over podcast. I'm sorry, podcast people. I'm going to try and keep it close. You might have to rewind this because it's hard to visualize this. There's lots of ways, but first of all, I would ask them, what's the difference between cash and accrual accounting? And which do you recommend that I implement? I'll tell you the difference. And you don't have to be an expert at this, but you at least want to know it well enough so you can tell if they're full of crap when they're answering. The answer you don't want is, I use all my clients are just on cash. That is a red flag. Another red flag. Huh? That would be a red flag. What? What? That's a problem. So cash accounting means when the money leaves the account or comes into the account, we count it that day. So if I clean Lindsay's house or building and I bill her $1,000 and I clean it on Friday the 31st and I bill her on Friday the 31st and she pays me on Monday the 3rd or whatever the day is. For a cash accounting, the payroll, say I paid my people to clean her in January the 31st, but she paid me in February 1st, the cash for that, the money coming in is going to be on February 1st when she paid me, but the expenses associated with it are going to be in January because that's when I paid my accountants. That is a cash-based accounting system. The problem is when you have receivables, things get wonky. People pay a month, 2 months later, and you're like, well, geez, I got all this money today. People like, I'll ask people, what was your revenue last month? And they'll be like, well, it was really high because I got paid on jobs I did. I got a big check in from jobs before. It's like, that wasn't your revenue. That was just receivables coming in. So it's different. So cash is I'm counting the money when it actually hits my account. Accrual is a little more sophisticated. Most people knows what the word accrue is. Like I've accrued interest. I've accrued goodwill from Lindsay. I've accrued this payable or receivable that someone owes me. So what I would do there in the same circumstance where I did the work with Lindsay in January, I accrued that income. She owes me that income as of January. The fact that I didn't receive it till February, March is neither here nor there. We're going to date the invoice in January. So on my accrual-based profit and loss statement, both the income and the expense for that are going to come in January, regardless of when I pay payroll, regardless of the one. So when money comes in or goes out at a weird time, I still have a clear picture. Easiest one would be in my rent. Say I've got a rent for $1,000 a month and I pay it January 1st. And then I pay it again. I pay January's rent January 1st, and I pay February's rent January 29th. Like at the end of the month, I pay it. It's going to look like I have $2,000 of rent in January and $0 in rent in February, but that's not the truth. So a cash accounting would show the 2,000 and the 0. We don't want that. Accrual-based accounting would be like, oh, we understand that even though you paid for it in February, or in January, it was really for February's rent, and you have a cleaner book. So your accountant should be able to give you some version of explaining that. And you want accrual, obviously, right? Because accrual is a little more. And if you're a tiny little company and everything gets paid immediately the day that you do it, you get paid that day. Everything gets paid in the month it's supposed to get paid. And you're very small, I guess you could go cash. But anytime you grow a company and get any sort of sophistication, you're going to move to accrual. So that would be the first thing. Mike Campion here. Do you ever listen to the podcast and go, this is great information, I just wish I could actually get it implemented and I wish I could get some help? Well, we do that. If you would like either myself or my team's help actually coming up with a plan that's specialized to you and your business, because with these podcasts, obviously we have to be very general and we can only go 20 minutes at a time. If you'd like to jump on a call with myself or my team, go to growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. We'll jump on a call. There's no charge, and we'll help you get some absolute clarity around exactly what to do next and how to do it. The reason we don't charge for these calls is the plan that we come up with, people want help implementing that. If that's the case, we're happy to talk about it. And if it's not, that's okay too. We're happy to just help you come up with a plan. So if you want to translate the information you're learning here into an actual plan that can change your life, give us a ring, growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. Love to either myself or have one of our coaches walk you through and actually personalize the content you get here to where you're at with your business. Talk soon. The second big thing is my least favorite trait in accountants. I would actually take an incompetent accountant over this, is they get real uppity and they're not teachers. So honestly, I'm looking for a teacher first and an accountant second. So when you ask them this question, they get, well, you don't understand. They're trying to use big words and try and confuse you. And you're like, and just be you. Go, I don't understand. That makes, I don't know. I don't know. That makes, I don't know. I don't understand it. If they get frustrated or exasperated or don't want to get into that, just shut up and do it. Out. So be as dumb as you want to be. And it is their job. This is your money. That's the thing. People are, oh, my accountant handles that. Is your accountant going to pay your goddamn rent or your taxes? So if something goes wrong, your accountant's going to, oh no, you're going to handle that. And where's your accountant going to be? Gone. Because they don't give a crap. So the two big things, the easy one is cash and accrual because it's sophisticated enough people should know. And then I just want them to explain stuff to me. And if I feel like they're talking over me or being disrespectful or they're using big words, and a lot of times people use big words because they don't really understand it. So they're trying to sound smart because they don't really understand it. So those would be, there's lots of other ways. Those would be the two things. And just the big foundation, remember, this is your money. You're paying the bills. If they make you feel stupid or they're not teachers, pass. And it's, I got to be honest with you, accountants is numbers, and those people that are good teachers are generally not good accountants, and people that are good accountants are generally not good teachers. Lindsay has hired our accounting team, and you have done an amazing job with finding people that are both teachers and accountants. And again, if I had to pick one, I'm going to pick the teacher because anyone can learn the basic. Like we're not doing, like I had a car dealership that took some very complex accounting. Like those guys were $300 an hour. Like it was a pain in my butt. We are not in that business. We do not need high dollar accounting. So I literally would rather take a good teacher and have him learn accounting than have an accountant and try and get him to teach. Because yeah, here, I'll give you the one accounting joke I know. You know, Lindsay, do you know the difference between an introverted accountant and an extroverted accountant?
I know I heard this joke from you. No, but I don't remember. I don't remember.
An introverted accountant looks at his shoes when he's talking to you. An extroverted accountant looks at your shoes when he's talking to you. So these are the general people. Love you, accountants. Love you, love you, love you. The good ones. But just understand it's as important that you can communicate with them and you like them and they like you and they don't make you feel stupid as it is that they know how to do their job. And they have to do their job. But for cleaning companies, even doing a couple million in revenue, accounting is very simple, just with bigger numbers. It's not like I had a construction. I've had different companies with very complex accounting. This is not one of them. All right. Woo, that was a long answer to a short question.
Mm-hmm. I swear I didn't write that question. I swear it was Grace.
You could have. If you and Grace got together and said, what can we do to really piss off Mike? That would have be top 5 of like how to make Mike angry with a question.
Love it. Okay. I'm going to come back to her second question just so we get to another question real quick. Sure. Rhonda emailed in and said, what's the smartest beginning record keeping tips? It was a weird phrasing, but if you had to give tips on how to start keeping records, financial records in your cleaning company, I'm going to rephrase it for her. What do you recommend?
So there's a lot of ways to look at that. So there's tax preparation records, which is, it really depends. I mean, get with who's going to file your taxes for you, right? So records to prove to the government what you earned or didn't earn, that's really between you and your accountant, and it depends on what country you're in, what city or state or province. So tax accounting is not what we help people with. We help people making sure they know their numbers so they can make good decisions for their business. So I'm going to answer the question in regards to how do I keep the right numbers to know what's going on with my business. So that said, really, there's only two things for all of accounting. There's just two things: money that went out and money that came in. That's literally it. If you want to get real fancy, money that's supposed to come in, right? I sent them a bill, they owe me it. That's called the receivables, and money that did come in. And then money that's supposed to go out, a bill that I owe, and money that did go out, a bill that I paid. So I guess there's four things, but it's really just money that should come in, money that did come in, bills that I should pay, and bills that I did pay. That's literally it. That's all there is. There's nothing else. So the shortest answer to smartest beginning record keeping tips, and you can, this is advanced beginning, all of it. What money came in? When did it come in? And the way you do that is, I mean, literally for money coming in, you create an in. And by the way, for recurring services, we just bill. I would just encourage you guys to bill people, run people's credit cards every month. You don't have to send them an invoice. You can, yeah. But I'm still going to make an invoice internally. So at the beginning of the month, you have your accountant. I've got 39 clients. Accountant makes an invoice just in QuickBooks. You don't have to send it to the client for all 39 clients. And then when the money comes in, you just receive that money against that invoice. That's all. Anytime money needs to go out, you create a bill, you date it the right way, and then you just pay those bills. So that's it. I mean, it's not any more complex than that.
Right. So last question from Grace, and this could be a rant, but we'll see how it goes. She wants to know how to calculate your numbers in a way she could understand to order. And I'll speak English today at some point. How to calculate your numbers in a way she would understand in order to price her service well.
Great question. So we always start with the cost of labor in your area because that self-adjusts for what the pricing should be. And again, this is a big mistake that people make is when we talk about not knowing their numbers, not only did they not know basic things like how much is my revenue, how much is we call it cost of goods sold, what I paid my labor, how much is my overhead, all of the administrative costs. They also don't know stuff like how much should I pay my people? How much should I charge my clients? What kind of terms, when should I get paid? So A, you got to know that data. That's really important. B, always base it off the price of labor in your town. So in Vancouver, it might be $27 you have to pay for a cleaner. In, Tulsa, Oklahoma, it might be $16 an hour you have to pay a cleaner. So if you base so there's really two things: what you pay your people and what you charge your clients. What you pay your people, the philosophy that we like to go is a little better than average, with the opportunity to make bonus, which is much better than average based on performance. And if you're like, well, how can I afford much better than average? Because the performance means they make money, right? They get good reviews, they show up on time, they're doing it quicker than they're supposed to, their good core values match. The things that they do, they're worth more, right? So you actually make more money on the people that you pay a bigger bonus to because they're doing everything right. So the philosophy on how do you pay is a little better than average with the opportunity to make bonus to make them get paid much better than average. And then we talk about a 45% cost of goods sold. So whatever it's going to cost you in hours, whatever it costs you to provide the service, no admin costs like uniforms or backpack vacuums, just like actual labor and gasoline to get to and from, and payroll tax, you want that to be about 45%. So just literally divide whatever the cost it is to do the job, divide by 45%, and you'll get a good price to charge your client. If you want to get fancy, or if that's too fancy for you, you can literally just do by half. You'll make a little less money, but if it costs you $100, you'll be like, in labor, that's $200. And again, we like a little more margin, but that is base level of how to calculate your numbers. The big thing is you've got to have a system that you trust and you follow the system. What we don't want to do is go by the gut, because I see Lindsay and she's got a nice house, so I charge her a little more, but then I talk to her sister and she gives me the sob story about how she's broke, so I charge a little bit less. And then I'm having a good day this day, and then I feel like I've got a lot of labor, so I don't charge very much. And then another day I'm having a bad day and everyone's quitting. We don't want that, right? Because then you just get all over the board. So you want to have a system where you consistently, and then also what happens is you're always concerned. Lindsay said no, and I'm like, oh, I charge too much. Or she says yes. I'm like, oh, I didn't charge. And we're just constantly beating ourselves up. So you want to make sure you know exactly what your numbers should be, and you make it based on data, not based on drama or how you feel. And you just know that the goal isn't to get every client, it's to get the right clients. So, we want you to be, if you're, I mean, it really depends if you're commercial, residential, but you just want to get the clients you're supposed to get. And when someone says no, that's okay. And if they go, you're too expensive, that's too expensive, it's not his business. He's not making payroll. He's not setting all this up. So he can have whatever thoughts he wants on what's too expensive, but it's not his business, right? Like most of the time he's a dentist and you go, well, I think your stuff's too expensive. $100 for a teeth clean, that should be 50. He's going to go, what are you talking about? You'd be like, exactly. Right. Like he's very clear on what his prices should be and how they're fair, but he's got thoughts on your prices as well. And he doesn't accept your input on his prices, but he wants to give you a lot of input on your prices. So it's okay if people say no. We're not looking for everybody that weighs money. We're looking for the right people. All right. We out of time? We have more. Did I answer that? Any questions from you, Lindsay?
No, I don't have any questions. I think we're good, and we actually answered all questions. Just checking the chat. Yeah, Mike, we're good. Good rant.
All right.
Today.
Well, Grace, great job on that. Cleaning Nation. The last thing I want to see or hear you guys do, it doesn't matter what I want. What's going to not serve you well is if you hear all this and you're like, oh, I know, but I'm going to do it later. And then you just don't make any change. As much as I love having you guys as audience, we want to make sure you do something different. You get a change for your business. So today's the day. Reach out to us because we have great accountants on board. We will help you with it. If you think we're full of crap, reach out to somebody else. But it's not hard. Don't let any accountant make you feel like you're dumb. And certainly don't tolerate not knowing your numbers. And certainly don't be like, oh, I'm going to build $1 million business and I'll just get my numbers done at some point. Like, trust me, if you're doing 5, 10, 20 grand a month now, it's so much easier to get your business straight. Or first of all, the likelihood that you're going to get to $100,000 a month without getting your numbers straight is vanishingly small. Say you're able to do it. You think it's going to be easier then? It's a goddamn mess then. So do yourself a favor. If you really want to scale your business, find an accountant, a competent person to help you understand what numbers you need, and then have an accountant that will provide those numbers and then know what to do with that data when you get it. And if you want our help, Mike@growmycleaningcompany.com. Hit us on Instagram, Facebook group, YouTube. We're out there. Reach out, Cleaning Nation. Talk soon. Hey, Cleaning Nation, if you dug the content you just got, we don't do any ads and I don't sell anything on this podcast, but if you would just subscribe, rate, and review, it would be huge and I'd be so appreciative. Not only is it going to help me, but you'll help other owners of cleaning companies across the world work less, make more, and get profitable. So if you appreciate the value we give, again, subscribe, rate, and review. It would mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it. And we sure appreciate your time and attention.